Everyone for the plenary and valedictory session of 33rd Annual Conference of Agricultural Economics Research Association. So we begin the formal valedictory function of this conference with the Vande Mataram song.
आपका पावर पॉइंट अपलोड हो गया है?
Yes.
हाँ हो गया.
Thank you, everyone. We will also have the ICAR song before the commencement of the valedictory.
जय जय कृषि परिषद भारत की सुखद प्रतीक हरित भारत की कृषि धन पशुधन मानव जीवन दुग्ध मत्स्य खल यात्र संवर्धन वैज्ञानिक विधि नव तकनीकी पारिस्थितिकी का संरक्षण शस्य श्यामला छवि भारत की जय जय कृषि परिषद भारत की हिम प्रदेश से सागर तट तक मरुधरती से पूर्वोत्तर तक हर पथ पर है मित्र कृषक की शिक्षा शोध प्रसार सकल तक आशा स्वावलंबित भारत की जय जय कृषि परिषद भारत की जय जय कृषि परिषद भारत की.
I request Director Gopal Lal sir to welcome the chief guest with a bouquet of flowers. On the same note, I request our Director Dr. Gopal Lal sir to extend a welcome address to the gathering.
Thank you very much. Most respected chief guest of today's function, the valedictory function of 33rd Annual Conference on Agriculture Economics Research Association, 33rd Annual Conference of AERA. Dr. Mahendra Dev Sahib, the Chairman Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister of India. You are most welcome, sir. And we are grateful to you for accepting our request to be here in this program as a chief guest. Respected Dr. Samrendra Mohanty, he is a conference president and former Asia Regional Director CIP. You are most welcome, sir, for this function. and our beloved ex-director, Dr. P.K. Joshi Sahib. He is President AERA and Director IPRI also earlier, and he served this institute nicely for a term or so. You are also most welcome, sir, for this program. My friends, Dr. Anjani Kumar, the Secretary AERA, and Dr. Ranjit Kumar is also here. All the distinguished guests of the dais, faculty members, heads of the divisions, all staff of NAARM, all delegates from across the country we are having over here. The Vice Chancellor, Sukas Srinagar, is also sitting here. And our DG, NIRDPR is also sitting here. And other people are also sitting here. You all are most welcome here. And students, ladies and gentlemen. We conducted this conference during last 3 days, fantastically, I think. And in the inaugural function, there were 300 delegates or maybe more. Some of the people sitting on the dais are also witness for that one. We conducted 3 plenary discussions on different aspects, 1 workshop, and 6-7 technical sessions. And the participation was very nice. And I should say, this conference was the timely event. And as I earlier told that the participation is from all over the country, almost every state is participating over here. You can say from Srinagar to Kanyakumari and from Rajasthan, Gujarat to Northeast, we are having here the delegates, and our ABM students are participating with a good enthusiasm because the subject is very much related to them. There were 3 themes. By and large, there were 3 themes for discussion in the program. One was the agribusiness and startups. Another was the empowerment of women and the climate change and sustainable agriculture production. All aspects were discussed nicely, and the reporters will present the report. We'll see the output of the conference. And once again, I welcome all for this valuable valedictory function. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for warmly welcoming all the dignitaries and delegates. Now I request Dr. Anjani Kumar, Secretary AERA and Senior Fellow IFPRI, to briefly introduce the chief guest of the day.
Thank you very much. I joined our director, ICAR-NAARM, Dr. Gopal Lal, to welcome you all to the valedictory function of the Agricultural Economics Research Association 33rd Annual Conference of this. Today's valedictory function, I think you all will agree that it is especially meaningful as we are being joined by a luminary, Professor Mahendra Dev, whose scholarship and leadership have been playing a significant role in development discourse for quite some time, for decades, I can say. So it is my honor and privilege to briefly introduce Professor S. Mahendra Dev. Though most of you know, and Dr. Joshi in the previous session, he has also highlighted some of the career path which he has followed. So Professor Mahendra Dev is one of India's most distinguished development economists. His contribution to agriculture, rural development, social safety nets, poverty alleviation, food and nutrition security, inequality have influenced the academic debates and discourse, and also influenced the public policy significantly. His work has considerable impact on the policy reforms process in the country. He is a prolific scholar. He has authored and edited several books and also profusely published in national and international journals. His research on agricultural transformation, employment, social safety nets, and inclusive growth remained central to policy formulation and scholarly inquiry. Apart from the academic contribution, He has also demonstrated exemplary leadership in managing the academic institutions. He had served as a director and vice chancellor of the Indira Gandhi Institute of Development Research for more than 10 years, I think. And during that period, he has strengthened its role as a premier institution of the country. He has also chaired the Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices, and also he was director for SES and organized, I think, first regional South Asia regional conference of International Association of Agricultural Economists, and very successfully. So that's a kind of international event. And his contribution is not only limited to the boundary of India, it also global space. He has been the member and vice chair of the International Food Policy Research Institute, my own institution, for quite some time, many years. And during this period, he has played a pivotal role in shaping the international research agenda, particularly on food systems, nutrition, poverty reduction. So thank you, sir. And his appointment, I think, as a chairman of the Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister of India, as a recognition of his intellectual stature, integrity, and lifelong dedication to advancing the equitable and sustainable development. Under his leadership, the ESEPM, means Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister, is providing a strategic economic advice at the highest level of the governance. Also strengthening the bridge between research, policy, and national priorities. And that is the mission, I think, that deeply resonates with the objectives and goals of our association, Agricultural Economics Research Association, because we also try to provide this. And your presence today, sir, as I mentioned, has greatly elevated the stature of the conference, or not only this valedictory function, but the conference, and will inspire our entire community of researchers, particularly the young scholars and the students. And on behalf of AERA and on my own behalf and on behalf of all participants of the conference, again, we express our sincere thanks and gratitude for accepting our request to be the chief guest here. And one more thing, just before ending, Dr. Mahendra Dev has been associated with this association for quite a long time. And those who have attended the conference in NAARM in 2017, he has delivered the first GK Chatta Memorial Lecture here, and also many times he has delivered distinguished lecture in some of the conferences, annual conferences. We also used to organize distinct lectures. So with this, sir, again, welcome you and thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. In this 33rd annual conference of Agricultural Economics Research Association, we had several presentations, both oral and poster. And in order to summarize all these deliberations of the conference, I request the conveners of these sessions to present a brief report of the presentations. Dr. Elumalai Kannan, Dr. Neha Qureshi, and Dr. Aditya K.S. will be presenting the conference deliberations in brief.
Dignitaries on the dais, and at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Joshi, the President of AERA, Dr. Anjani, Secretary of AERA, and members of AERA for providing an opportunity to be a convener on the theme Innovations in Agribusiness, Empowering Startups, and Promoting Agricultural Exports. So I would like to present a brief report on the papers presented under this theme. In total, 35 papers are presented, and I just grouped these papers into different classifications. And the sectoral analysis of agribusiness models, including FPOs or FPCs, There are a large number of papers. About 20 papers are presented under this particular theme, followed by agri startups. There are 4 papers were presented under agri startups. And then we had 4 papers relating to application of IoT and blockchain in agriculture, and 4 papers on issues related to domestic market analysis, particularly the price transmission efficiency, and then 3 papers on agricultural exports. So this sums up to the 35 papers presented under this theme. So just let me flag some important issues that came up during the discussion of the papers presented under this theme. Under agribusiness models, papers largely focused on the kind of models for different commodities such as vegetables, dairy, and fish. Paper writers mostly focused on a part of value chain, for example, either at the farm level, processing level, or at the consumption level. So during a discussion after the papers are presented, it came out that there is a need to look at the value chain analysis in entirety. So there's a need to see the value chains and the role of different actors across the value chains. So it is also important to understand much better the challenges faced by different actors across the value chains. So there's little understanding of these issues. These challenges includes investment, employment, generations across the value chains, and the income gained by the different actors. So these are some of the issues that came up under this, the papers under these particular categories. So although a few papers are presented under agri startups, but these papers have really brought up very important issues that affects the growth of startups in India. Some of these issues that came up during the discussions include how do we explain the low survival rate of agri startups? Why there is a death rate of the startups? Why they are vanishing so quickly? How do we explain this? The low survival rate of agri startups, and what are the challenges that these startups face in mobilizing the financial capital from domestic market? Can these startups mobilize resources from the capital market? Is FDI allowed in agri startups? How conducive is the regulatory regime which overlays all these dimensions? And what are the hurdles that these startups face in terms of commercialization of technology? As it was pointed out that the most of the technologies or the product innovations do not reach the maturity stage that finally comes to the market. So what are the hurdles that these startups face in terms of commercialization of these technologies? So these are some of the issues that came up during the discussions. With respect to papers on application of Internet of Things and blockchains, again, there are very few papers, and application of these technologies or innovations in the field of agriculture is still at a very nascent stage, and therefore the participants during the discussions have raised the issues related to how to scale up these technologies, because there are some isolated examples, successful examples, application of these aspects. So how do we scale up these technologies? And is this technology scale neutral, which means whether different farm size groups or classes can adopt these technologies? And there is also need to do in-depth cost benefit analysis. In that case, the participants also raised issues related to methodological problems in terms of capturing the cost and benefits. So these are some of the issues that came up with respect to the papers related to IoT and blockchains. Finally, if you group the papers under domestic market analysis and international trade, most papers focused on analyzing domestic market integrations for different commodities, and in particular focusing the price transmission mechanism different markets. But these papers do not go beyond what impedes or what constrains the effective integration of the markets despite certain interventions like the AERA. Besides this particular concern raised by the participants also raised issues related to global value chains and the participation of India's agri-business firms in global value chains, right? And what are the challenges that India's agri-business firms face for effective participations across the global value chains? And besides this, and again, the participants also raised issues related to methodological challenges to capture the extent of participations. How do you analyze, how do you measure? Because the production, processing, other activities are dispersed. So the GVCs, the global value chains, tend to combine these diverse or dispersed activities. So in that case, how do you measure it? How do you analyze it? What could be the data sets and related problems that came up during the discussion? So these are some of the the dimensions of the papers that are presented under this particular theme, and then the issues that came up from the floor. So thank you again for this opportunity.
Respected dignitaries on and off the dais, delegates and their students, it's my proud privilege to present the synthesis of the papers presented under the theme Empowering Women in Agriculture, Bridging Gender Gaps and Advancing Gender Studies. So I would like to thank Dr. Smita Siroi ma'am. She gave me the opportunity to present this. Thank you, ma'am. So this is the theme overview, wherein the conceptual research mostly focused on women empowerment in agriculture and agribusiness, then labor participation and institutional access, climate resilience and climate smart agriculture, and digital platforms and value chains, and gender responsive policies. So there were two sessions, first on day one, and this was actually we received 13 papers, and out of that 10 were presented in person. And on day two, scheduled presentations were 16 and 8 were presented in person. So what we did is I just tried to synthesize everything together. So a total oral presentation received under the theme were 29, 18 were presented, and posters were 22. The geographical coverage of the studies included the states like Bihar, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Kerala, northeastern regions including Sikkim, then semi-arid tropics of India, and some meta-analysis was also there on Pan-India and South Asian countries. So the key findings were, we identified 6 areas under which I have discussed the key findings of the theme. So first were gender markets and value chains. There the papers mostly concentrated on structural disadvantages which persist due to limited land ownership and restricted institutional credit access. The Tamil Nadu value chains also showed moderate, low empowerment. Then there was study on Kerala cash of sector, wherein it showed that women form 90% of workforce, yet they get low wages, health risks, and weak job security. Then there was a very interesting study on Sikkim's rhododendron, which is used for producing wine. And the collective entrepreneurship and value addition significantly have enhanced the women's income and empowerment. Similarly, there were studies which concentrated on intra-household decision-making and asset ownership, followed by climate-smart agriculture and climate shocks. Then labor force participation and post-COVID dynamics were discussed, and institutions, SHGs, digital platforms and services. Policy awareness and institutional support. I have here given the cross-cutting insights across all the 6 themes that we identified. So the participation alone does not ensure the empowerment without asset ownership, institutional access, and quality employment. Then land, credit, education, and digital access consistently emerged as the strongest empowerment drivers. Women act as a primary shock absorbers during climate stress and economic crisis. Institutional platforms play a decisive role in enhancing women's agency and decision-making. Then, despite rising participation, measured empowerment remains moderate to low across most farming and value chain contexts. So these are some joint recommendations of the future areas of research which we identified, that is rigorous impact evaluation of gender-focused agricultural interventions is required. Then long-term assessment of digital formalization on women's income, bargaining power and market access. Then gender disaggregated studies on climate smart technology adoption and drudgery reduction. Comparative value chain studies to identify where empowerment gaps are most severe. Then integration of labor economics with gender and climate resilient research, policy evaluation of land rights, credit access, institutional reforms for strengthening intra-household bargaining power, development and context-specific empowerment indices, particularly for SHGs and the collective enterprises. So these are some of the joint recommendations that we come out from the papers that were presented and the future areas of research for the students. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good evening, everyone. I am the dignitaries on and off the dais and delegates. It's my pleasure to present the report of theme 3, which is on climate resilient agriculture, strategies for adapting to changing climate and ensuring food security. So I'll directly jump into the key recommendations from the papers which have been presented and discussed during the 3 days. So first, let me start with the most obvious one, which is to highlight and reiterate that there is need for more research on climate resilient crop varieties, which which not only enhance the productivity, but also reduces the vulnerability to climate variations and stabilizes the farm income. We have noted that in many of the climate smart agricultural technologies, scaling is a big problem because the social welfare gain from adoption is very high, but with little private incentive for farmers to adopt. So we need more financial and technical support to incentivize farmers to adopt these CSA practices, and particularly in ecologically fragile and vulnerable regions. And while developing these technologies, it is important that we need these policies to be gender responsive so that we will achieve the gender inclusivity as well as women empowerment. Developing integrated soil and water resource management strategies, which also have large co-benefit in terms of ecosystem services, is also important. And we have seen that many of the government programs are scattered across different ministries and different silos, and we need convergence in both in thinking and implementation across ministries, across departments, so that we achieve holistic outcomes. Collective action is thought of as an important mechanism to ensure that small size holding do not act as an impediment or a barrier. So how can we foster FPO-led value chain integration and market linkages is also came up as a key discussion point. As I highlighted before, we need to think of policy incentives or market-based mechanisms such as carbon credit, green credit, and link it with adoption of sustainable practices such as integrated soil health management and other practices. Promoting adoption of precision and digital agriculture technologies and micro irrigation, which also advance climate resilient and efficient farming practices. And finally, the recommendation is to encourage sustainable crop residue management, mainly by addressing the economic and operational barriers, again focusing on asking the question, what is in it for the farmers to adopt, and how can we incentivize farmers to adopt these practices in addition to the ecological or environmental benefits that these practices generate. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kannan sir, Dr. Aditya, and Dr. Neha. So very well presented. And now with this, I request President AERA, Dr. P.K. Joshi sir, to offer his remarks on the occasion of this conference.
Good afternoon. Our chief guest, Dr. Mahendra Dev, Director of the Institute, Dr. Gopal Lal, Dr. Sam Mohanty, Conference President, Dr. Anjani Kumar, Secretary, Dr. Ranjit Kumar, Organizing Secretary, a very distinguished delegates and participants, and dear students, NARM faculty, NARM students. On behalf of AERA, as President of AERA, as well as alumni of NARM, I welcome you, Dr. I was alumni of NARM, so I welcome you in this valedictory function. And thank you very much for accepting our request to be the chief guest for this valedictory function. So thanks for joining all of us in this evening. And the conference was a grand success. All of you will agree with me that it was a really grand success. So, the full credit I will give to Dr. Gopal Lal, the director of the NAARM, who has extended all the support, every facility, and he was with us all the time for any issue. So thank you, sir, for your support to all of us. And thanks to Ranjit also for the organizing secretary and entire team. We have a wonderful team. NARM, I always see they have a wonderful team. Best team I have seen in NARM. The best staff, best faculty. I do not have words to express the way the entire NARM team works. So thank you to everyone for your great support for this conference. There were around 300 plus delegates in this conference and who were attending from different parts of the country. And there was an overwhelming response. The papers, I think more than 300 papers were submitted, but few came for presentation of the paper. But I was told by Dr. Ranjit, 106 papers were presented. And I have seen, I'm so happy that the quality of presentation have improved significantly. It has, I am so happy that majority were young professionals. They were making presentations. The quality was so good. The time limit which was given to them was, they have maintained the time. So that was satisfying that our next generation is, taking up the leadership role in future. So friends, those who made presentation, made the conference a grand success. Thank you to all of you also. Sir, we have three themes. One, agribusiness, empowering women, and climate resilient agriculture. Besides these three themes, we have several symposia, workshops. One was on trade-related issues, which was organized by RIS, and several experts on trade. They attended or they were the panelists of this symposia. Second was organized by ICAR-NAARM on food system transformation by Dr. Shailendra Kumar. And third was by NARM, the industry academia interactions, how we can integrate the industry and academia for starting agribusiness and involve women in the agribusiness. And last one, which you are hearing, is on value chain transformation. These were the four panel discussion and symposia were organized. Again, I will say with great satisfaction, the quality of panel discussions are also good. We have wonderful panelists. They have thrown important ideas, policy recommendations on different topics for future research as well as future policy shaping. They have the panel discussions, symposia were very informative. They were very lively. Shailendra has made it more lively. I think many of you have enjoyed using your smartphone during the panel discussion. Everyone was engaged in the panel discussion. Thank you, Shailendra, for organizing such a lively panel discussion. And one, Dr. G.K. Chadda Memorial. This year we have requested Dr. Vijay Pal Sharma, the chairman CSCP, who gave an excellent memorial lecture. Poster sessions were also very good. I have visited all the posters. I think one I missed, but I interacted with all the poster presenters. Majority were very young. and whenever students, I'm so happy. I'm telling from my own heart, deep of my heart, that you are so good and you are growing. You are going to top level. So my sincere thanks to you to taking our profession to a newer level. Your idea, your thoughts, your analytical skills is so good. I was so impressed to every one of you. Though award will be given only 2 or 3, but everyone was excellent, super in their presentation and the kind of depth you have in your, the poster which you are presenting. So thank you for your great contribution. Next, we are planning to bring 3 policy briefs out of the presentation. And if the panel discussion will also provide some information, we'll bring out the policy briefs on those issues as well. And AERA will further taking its activities, more activities to strengthen the profession. And we are committed to help and facilitate to all the our members as well as those who would like to be a member of the association. And immediate step, we are planning to start AERA Agri Policy Forum. We are starting from 2026 onward, where we will have a platform for policy debate on critical areas which India is facing. I really enjoyed every moment in this conference and enjoyed with interacting with all of you and look forward for similar kind of support and guidance from all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Even we enjoyed your company, and it's always pleasure to see you in NAARM campus at any time. And now I request the conference president, Professor Dr. Samrendu Mohanty, former Asia Regional Director, to his address.
Good afternoon, everybody. Distinguished chief guest here, AERA President Dr. Joshi, AERA Secretary, Organizing Committee, and distinguished delegates. I know it's tough to listen after a good lunch like this. I know some of them dozing off, but pretty natural after the lunch. Anyway, I first of all, let me thank AERA to giving me the opportunity to serve as the conference president and deliver the presidential address. I hope I did justice. I know I had an excellent 3 days of, listen to varieties of presentations, panel discussions, keynote address. We heard our conference started with Dr. Ramesh Chand and will end with Dr. Mahendra Dev. So it cannot be better than this. Okay, we have two top-notch policy experts in the country giving you their thought on the state of the agriculture here. This particular conference is so unique. I think Dr. Joshi mentioned more than 300 delegates, and more than half of them are young graduate students or young economists just starting their career there. Their participation makes it very unique. And I attended many of the technical sessions, and as Dr. Joshi mentioned, the presentation by these young economists are very outstanding. They're well prepared, very passionate about the work, and they were well prepared to talk within that 5 minutes they got. They're all sticking to the time, so they deserve a big round of applause, all these young economists, because the future success of AERA actually depends on you guys, on you people here, in terms of making it successful there. I have one suggestion for Dr. Joshi going forward, that since half of our participants are young economists, we need to make more of them maybe give a plenary session, participate more in the panel discussion, so that they feel more inclusive in the whole process, rather than giving a technical session and listening to some of the old people on the dais all the time there. So that's my suggestion. Going forward, we may think about doing that. But but I have to say that this is probably one of the conferences I've attended. I enjoyed fully the participation, interaction from the audience. Everything was outstanding there, and I think there's no complaint anything about this particular conference. And you already heard 3 conveners talk the width and breadth of the technical sessions there. I was just surprised the extent of the work been undertaken by many of these organizations, many of these economies. There is very good. And lastly, let me thank the NAARM and Dr. Gopal Lalji and Dr. Ranjit. Your organization, outstanding organization on the ground. Food was excellent for 3 days. We gained a lot of calories, but but it was really good food. I enjoyed your food, NAARM food always, but the food has been very good and organization has been spotless in the sense. In the end, let me thank the organizer again. Thank you guys to interactively participate in the things. Look forward to next year's meeting. And I promise I'll attend next year's meeting, I think, because I'll not miss it again. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words of appreciation and encouragement. Now, before calling Dr. Anjani Kumar, sir, for some of the special awards, I would like to continue with the felicitation of some of the jury members and the chairs who have done the poster evaluation. Now, I request the co-chairs and jury members from poster session team 1, Dr. D.V. Subbarao, Dr. D. Bardhan, and Dr. Sivaram Nesar to come and receive the token of appreciation from the dignitaries. Dr. D.V. Subbarao, sir, Dr. Bardhan, and Dr. Sivaram Nesar. Poster session on empowering women in agriculture, bridging gender gaps and advancing gender equity. Theme 2 was done by Dr. K. Karimula, former Principal Scientist ICAR-NAARM, Dr. Anuradhayan, and Dr. B. Nirmala, Principal Scientist ICAR-NAARM. Poster session on climate resilient agriculture, strategies for adopting climate change and ensuring food security, was done by Dr. Ramasubramaniam, Dr. Raya Das, ICRIR, and Dr. Yamini from ICAR-NAARM. We have token of appreciation for 2 of the reporters from the previous session, which we could not do the honors. Dr. Munish Alag from SPIESR and Dr. Sinath P.D. Kakanandi from Kerala Agriculture University. So thank you very much, everyone. Now I request Dr. Anjani Kumar, sir, to announce some of the special awards. Thank you, everyone. Now, this is time to listen to our esteemed chief guest. In fact, we had the glimpse of his scholarly wisdom. Now, we continue to listen to Professor Mahendra Dev, sir, on this occasion.
I have this one, my presentation. Dr. P.K. Joshi, Dr. Gopal Lal, Dr. Sabren Mohanty, Dr. Anjani Kumar, Dr. Ranjit Kumar, and dignitaries of the dais and all the participants, students. Good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, I thank the organizers and the NAARM for inviting me for this conference. In fact, AERA is, one of the professionally organized conference. Very quality of the presentations are very good, and he said it is improving over time. And so this is the second time I'm coming to NAARM for AERA conference. As mentioned, first one I gave the Dr. G.K. Chadha Memorial Lecture. So generally in these agriculture conferences, we don't talk about the overall economy. So I thought I'll start with what's happening to the Indian economy. All of you should know it's not just agriculture. We have to link it to the overall Indian economy, and also Viksit Bharat, how we are going to achieve. So those things we should know, because agriculture is part of the Indian economy. It's not isolation that we concentrate only on agriculture. So I thought I'll first start with Indian economy, then agriculture, and also rural non-farm sector, because agriculture and rural you can't distinguish, on that. How do I go this? Oh yeah, or this one yes. Okay. So the outline is, I prepared the PowerPoint, so they are self-explanatory. So I'll go a bit fast. So briefly on Indian economy, and then agriculture policies, and also growth, inclusion, sustainability, and also on rural non-farm sector, the linkage with agriculture and manufacturing services. So basically an overview on all these things. So going back to the past India's share in world GDP. In fact, if we see till 1700, 24.5, we are the highest share India's GDP share in world GDP. In fact, China was 22, 1700, and the other Japan, Germany, USA was very less. But it has come down to because of the Industrial Revolution and British rule. And at the time of independence, our share was 4%. And it has slightly increased, 6.7. Then the projections, Viksit Bharat, I'll come to that later. So basically, decline is because we had Industrial Revolution 1750 to 1850. And at the time of independence, we had socialistic ideas, we all know. So we missed two things there. Labor-intensive manufacturing, because it has impact on agriculture, and quality basic education and health. Unlike the East Asia, we neglected that. So first three decades, we had 3.5% growth. In fact, my professor at the Delhi School of Economics, Professor Raj Krishna, used to call it Hindu rate of growth, 3.5. So by the end of 70s, many countries, East and Southeast Asia, they went for economic reforms. And India is late. It was late. It was only 1991 we had reforms. So in the last decades of post-reform period, we had 6 to 6.5% per annum. Of course, there are many shocks, including COVID. But we have come out of the shocks. And Indian economy, as you know, is resilient and fastest growing economy in the world. Now it's going to be third largest. But we missed two chances since independence. One is policies in the first 3 decades, no focus on labor-intensive manufacturing, less importance to human development. Second one we missed is we are late by 15 years in liberalizing the economy. So some people ask me, sir, you are saying third largest economy, but what about per capita income? I said, you first 4 decades, we have lost so much. That time per capita income growth was 1%. So we have to grow faster. We are growing faster now, but it takes some time to. So you can't say that we are low per capita income. Now come to the future. We all know that India by 2047 wants to become the developed nation. What are the opportunities and challenges for growth? India at 2047. There are several global challenges, we all know, because we had globalization first last 3 decades. And now, of course, protectionism is happening, and no respect for multilateral institutions like WTO. Also, there is a need for reform of UN, IMF, and World Bank. But India is playing an important role in global leadership, like G20, BRICS, and it's recognized. Also, we are planning to South-South cooperation. Also, we are planning to have. So then domestic. Coming to domestic, we need to have 7 to 8% growth to achieve 2047 goal. So what are the drivers of growth? One is two drivers. One is investment, another is exports. So presently we have investment of 31 to 32%. So if you want to increase to 7% or more, you need 34 to 35% of investment. Private sector investment is very crucial. As you know, government has increased capital expenditure in the last few budgets. Private sector investment, because they're rich with cash now. So they can invest, there is no problem of capital availability. The corporate and banks are doing well. So if you see the investment rate, it is from 33% to around 31% now. Even fixed capital formation also like that. So we need to increase to 34 or 35 if you want to go to 7 to 8% growth. On exports, because it's one of the main engines of growth, because Southeast Asia, East Asia, and all benefited because of exports. But as I mentioned, we are having protection policies. India's response is fourfold for this Trump's 50% tariff. One is we are helping the affected industries. Second, we are diversifying exports to other countries. Third is speeding up the FTAs, which will also important for agriculture. And also continue negotiations with US, because our exports are high to US, almost $80 billion or so, we can't neglect. So we continue the negotiations. So India also diversified to Asian countries. And exchange rate also can be used to accelerate imports. Because why exports are important? Because no country of India's size has grown 7 to 8% without export growth. So that's why this is important. However, export constitutes only around 20% of growth, 20% of GDP. So 80% of Indian economy is domestic demand. So it's therefore primarily driven by domestic consumption. And also we have domestic tailwinds. No positives are there, like low inflation, the RBI measures, good monsoon, and GST reforms. So all this will have stimulus, and these tailwinds also help the rural areas, agriculture, and demand for raising investment, consumption, and some push to exports. So our domestic economy, we are doing very well in spite of the global headwinds. So India has emerged as a global bright spot because of the reforms and policies. Some analysts say reforms are only GST in the third term of the present government. I mean, some are writing like that. But recently I wrote in Indian Express that so many reforms were done, during this third term also. One is, of course, as I mentioned, budget, capital expenditure, and then tax reforms, income tax, GST, and income tax abolished more than 280 sections. And ease of doing business, also deregulation, we are doing more on this later. And also for non-tax revenue, asset monetization is also we are doing. The credit to GDP ratio in India is only 50%, while in other countries it is 100% or more. So we need to improve the credit to GDP ratio. Recently RBI undertaken several reforms in banking and other things, which will help the growth and also other sectors. So basically, it strengthens the resilience, the RBI measures. In fact, RBI is also encouraging the Indian rupee becoming the international one. So these are the monetary policy things. So apart from investment and exports, what are the other sources of growth? Of course, agriculture is one. The ease of doing business, rise in human capital and skills, digital technology. Because sometimes what happens with AI, global growth rate has increased significantly. Like that, India also may benefit from technology use. Suddenly, growth will increase. And we have, of course, young population, like all of you, the median age of around 28 years compared to the aging population of developed countries. Urbanization also can be one source of growth because we'll be 50% urbanized by 2043 or 2044. Another one is women's labor force participation rates. Right now it is 35% or so. So the world average is 50% women's labor force participation. So if you increase that, our growth will increase. Another source of growth we were talking in the last session is the structural transformation from agriculture to manufacturing and services. So the first slide, the continuation of this, some projections show that by 2031-32 will be 13.9. By 43-44, we'll come to the 1700 where we had 25% growth. In fact, China will be 18% and US will be 11%. So we'll be the largest share in the world by 2043-44. So that has implications for the sectors, other sectors. So coming to the agriculture sector policies, we all know significant progress from food deficit to food self-sufficiency, several revolutions we had. India is the largest producer of several commodities. Of course, the Green Revolution approach has led to several problems: waterlogging, soil erosion, and groundwater depletion, unsustainability. So, what are the goals of agriculture sector? Like Viksit Bharat, it has to achieve 3 goals: the growth, inclusion, and sustainability. So, what are the factors that shape the vision of agriculture and farm incomes in the next decade or more? One is the global factors: geopolitical and trade tariffs, changes in consumption patterns. The demand side is important because if you just go on increasing supply without looking at the consumption patterns, that won't be sustainable. And technology, including digital technology, also will shape. And nutritional challenges are important. Of course, the climate resilience and sustainability. So these are the things which shapes the agriculture sector. On the policies, of course, price factors and non-price factors are both are important to increase the farmers' income and agriculture development. Global factors are same, the geopolitical and trade tariffs, because it will affect the supply chain of agriculture and all. Also, agriculture prices will lead to food and non-food consumption of the population. Large farmers of advanced countries, they get lots of subsidies. So our small farmers have to compete with them. So that's why the India-US thing, we say that they can't export to us some of the agriculture commodities because it affects our small farmers and small and marginal farmers. But of course, bilateral FTAs, an opportunity for India push for greater market access. And also at the same time, we have to address the non-tariff barriers like SPS and TBT, the technical barrier to trade. This is also important for making the opportunities. Generally, agriculture subject specialists do not discuss the impact of macro policies, because you see what happens, you discuss only agriculture policies, the impact may be less compared to the macro policies. Because if you see the budget, how much allocation to agriculture or so many fiscal, monetary, sometimes they may have more impact on agriculture. So first thing generally I tell is that macro policies are equally important for agriculture and rural non-farm sector. So reforms undertaken by the government at macro and sector level will also have impact on agriculture and rural areas. For example, all this shift to capital expenditure, GST, even the labor codes also will have on manufacturing and rural services. So these are important to look at the macro policies in agriculture conferences also. The farmers have to depend both on agriculture and rural non-farm sector, because if we see the incomes of agriculture households, that is at slightly old, 2018-19, the situation assessment, only 45% incomes from cultivation and livestock. The rest are from wages, non-farm business. Even the NABARD survey shows that the income from agriculture for rural households is only 27%. Income from other enterprises, in fact, we see salaried employment in rural areas is 37%. So therefore, farmers and rural households have to walk on two legs, both agriculture and non-agriculture. You just say that no, only agriculture, I will look at it, and so this is not right to look at only agriculture. Prices and marketing. Government has, of course, several measures, MSP and other programs. Agriculture reforms, marketing reforms can increase farmers' income better. But, this is the one sector where reforms have not been undertaken. Even in 1991, they thought by reforming industry, other foreign trade, financial sector, agriculture will benefit. They thought because industrial prices will go down, as a result, agriculture people will benefit. So the terms of trade will move in favor of agriculture. So Dr. Manmohan Singh and others that time, Montek Singh, all said, there is no need to reform in agriculture. We reform industry that will benefit the agriculture. And of course, marketing reforms at state level can raise farmers' incomes. Still, there is a scope, increase. There's a lot of debate on subsidies and investments. I'm not going into that, all the food subsidies and other things. Next one is diversification. You must have talked in the conference. There's a lot of diversification happening, but still there is a need for diversification from rice, wheat to millets. But rate of return in rice and wheat is still higher compared to millets, pulses, oil seeds. For example, if you see A2 plus FL, over that gross return is 30,200 per hectare, whereas Jowar, it is 9,000, and Bajra, it is 8. Only maize is competing with the rice and wheat. So if you want to promote this, rate of return is very important. I mean, you just say millets, grow millets. I mean, we don't get money, how will I grow millets? So this is rate of return, how to agriculture economists, others should discuss how do we improve the rate of return for these crops, pulses, oil seeds, and millets. Coming to non-price factors, in fact, prices last several years played an important role in agriculture growth because prices were higher, food prices and all. But now actually if you see, many of them are below MSP. So now non-price factors may be important in the next few years. So on 9 price factors, of course, technology is crucial. India's crop yields have a lot of room for improvement. Technology, of course, we are not having genetically modified GM, but gene editing we are doing here. And also, many people say we should increase the expenditure on R&D for agriculture would greatly increase the yields. On digital, of course, the mechanization also increasing. Digital technology is also we are using a lot, and AI is another one. And agri startups we have discussed in the last session and earlier also must have discussed value chains. For inclusiveness, because remember, as you mentioned, that Viksit Bharat or agriculture goals doesn't mean only growth. We need to have inclusiveness and sustainability. So here, inclusiveness, we need to have small and marginal farmers, women, youth, and small farmers also require special support, public goods and all, but they need aggregation. As I mentioned that cooperatives and FPOs and Amul milk cooperatives, of course, successful. Women's participation, not only in agriculture, but also in the value chains, it is increasing, women's participation. So this has strengthened household incomes and fostered more inclusive rural development. Of course, we have innovative programs, the Drone Didi program, and which aims to provide drones to 15,000 women self-help groups. Recently announced Pradhan Mantri Dhanadhanya Krishi Yojana is also part of the inclusive and and growth. This 100 districts, the low yield districts, we are having this. On sustainability, you have discussed a lotly on climate resilience and all. In fact, on sustainability, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who was one of the architects of Green Revolution, he said to farmers even in 1968, not to harm the long-term production potential for short-term gain. Of course, they didn't listen to him. We started increasing fertilizers, pesticides in a significant way. Of course, on climate change, India committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2070. Agriculture remains highly vulnerable. You have discussed in this conference. But we need to have more R&D for innovations on climate resilient crops, R&D in agriculture, shifting to cropping pattern, strengthening crop insurance scheme, and also practices such as conservation agriculture, natural farming. Natural farming and organic farming, they are not substitutes for fertilizers, but I think over time one can increase this one because, for example, Sri Lanka, did organic farming suddenly. So those kind of things, but slowly one can increase. I think government is also keen on improving the natural farming and organic farming. Of course, you talked about this climate smart agriculture. And also a study by IFPRI showed that, we have $1,800 billion, these subsidies. How do we repurpose agriculture? A study by Will Martin and others, because most of these subsidies are unsustainable practices. Only, some of them are public goods. Out of 106 billion to public goods. It is, of course, across sectors, it's uneven. Because most of the 800 billion are done by Europe and US, and developing countries less. So we are competing with these subsidized large farmers with the small farmers. So what did IFPRI do? They have given 4 scenarios. Suppose these subsidies, you abolish existing support, what will happen? So they said farm output declines, small impact on emissions, shift to support to organic farming, food output down. So best scenario is number 3. Shift R&D and for green revolution, you shift all these subsidies to this. It will raise productivity, lower emissions, higher food output, lower poverty, and drastic emissions in reduction. So this is the best scenario. Even shifting to healthy foods also, small impact is there, but it's not there. So that means green support is very important. That's the moral of these scenarios. I talked about institutions. Strengthening institutions are important. We talked in the last session, including the contract farming, self-help groups, FPOs, women collectives like Kudumbasri program. And also nowadays we are not talking about the institutions on water irrigation and natural resource management, because earlier there was a lot of talk on water management and others. So how do you scale up some of these successful institutions for improving agriculture development? I was mentioning institutions like cooperatives and farmer producer organizations play a important role in agriculture sector. For example, cooperative sector, we have 8 lakh cooperatives and 30 crore total members here. And PACS alone has 13 crore members. So actually, government wants to increase membership from 30 crore to 50 crore members. I mean, I'm having discussion with the Home Minister and others on cooperatives, how to improve the performance. And also how to increase the 3 times its contribution to GDP in the next decade or so. Because this is also important. Because there we can have cluster framework, even cooperatives, and organizing small and marginal farmers into export-oriented activity, and high-value chain products in the cooperatives, agro-processing, somebody mentioned earlier, the storage, warehousing, and fishery cooperatives also, dairy, fishery. But we need strong leadership to have these cooperatives, crucial for the next phase of cooperative movement. Our FP was, in fact, last Dr. Prabhu Pingali gave a lecture at the marketing conference, Indian Society of Agriculture Marketing, on FPOs and all. So they have data. According to them, there are 44,000 FPCs, the farm producer companies, since 2003. Because particularly from 2020, it showed explosive. And 15% are female-headed thing. And Maharashtra is the highest number, followed by UP, MP, and all. But how many are working? He says that 27,000 are non-compliant with tax filings. So maybe they are lapsed or closed. We don't know what's happening to those FPCs. But more growing commercial crops are more successful, FPOs here. The biggest promoters under the central sector are in agribusiness, the FPOs. What are the benefits? Those who have performed, they increase the income, prices, access to market information, also profits, yield increase, and also on inputs, also there were benefits. But these are only those who are successful. And women-led FPCs performed very well compared to men-led. So some debate, we need cooperatives or FPOs. I think we need both of them because the roles may be different. Coming to last few slides, as mentioned earlier, farmers and rural households depend more on rural non-farm activities for income as compared to agriculture income. In fact, if we see the employment, rural non-farm is about 40% in rural areas. So both manufacturing, construction about 20%, services about 20% of employment. So within manufacturing, agro-based industries occupy around 57% of employment, but still we have to increase further. Rural manufacturing, including MSMEs, occupy more than 50% of the total. Changes in rural consumption patterns are happening because if the latest data shows cereals occupy only 10% of our food consumption. In fact, milk and milk products 18%, fruits and vegetables 19%. So eggs, fish, meat 10% is like cereals share. But one concern I have is that the share of beverages, processed food is 21% of total food consumption. So in fact, at the Red Fort, the Prime Minister also mentioned the obesity is increasing. You should at least reduce 10% of the oil. So this actually 21% is surprising for me. So much, on processed food people are, spending. It is true that we need to have collaboration with industry on processed food. How do you have healthy food, the processed? It is true that it's very convenient for working women and men to have this processed food, but consumer education may be needed. In fact, the ultra-processed food market in South Asia increased from 19 billion to 70 billion in 2025, and is likely to accelerate further. So from a food and nutrition security point of view, this poses a major challenge for health outcomes, along with employment and economic well-being. So food systems approach is very important. Many places we are following for agriculture and food and nutrition security. I'll speak to one or two slides on food systems. First UN Food System Summit is 2021. So after 4 years, they had a stock taking in 2025 in Addis Ababa. So what are the learnings? Some countries were successful in food systems transformation. In fact, some of the countries, Rwanda, Vietnam, Brazil, they all successfully transformed this. Also, significant attention to science and innovation, because this is very important. Dr. Swaminathan also used to talk about the science and innovation for that. So we need to have this one. Key recommendations are of that summit, UN Food System Summit 2025. So we need to have cross-ministerial coordination bodies to synchronize nutrition, climate, agri policies, and also rights of indigenous people and decentralizing authority to urban and local governments. For example, panchayats and the urban councils, we need to decentralize more, because for state governments, decentralization means up to states. They don't want to do decentralization to panchayats and urban councils. And also deploying technology, they said. So crucially repurposing agri subsidies, which I was talking about. UN Food System Summit 2021 had proposed 7 key areas: end hunger and improve diets, de-risk food systems. So all these 7, the protect resources, soils, they are relevant even today, even 2021. So this food systems approach, how we are going to do in India, that's also important. Last 2-3 slides. Turning again to rural non-farm sector, the overall reforms in manufacturing services will help rural sector also. So in the last decade, industrial policy has taken on a more targeted and strategic character, like PLI, and also we had competitiveness improvement. As the Prime Minister mentioned, we need to have domestic reforms on fast track. See, when we are talking about Swadeshi or Atmanirbharta, it doesn't mean we are going back to import substitution policies of pre-1991. Swadeshi means that in some of the things where we need strategic, like semiconductors, rare earths, chips, we need to have Atmanirbharta kind of thing. Otherwise, we have to depend on other countries. for that. So that's why we are talking about Swadeshi and Atmanirbharta. It doesn't mean we produce everything in India. So concluding remarks, the Indian economy is doing well despite global challenges. Hope to achieve the 2047 goals of growth, inclusion, sustainability. We have to change the narrative in agriculture to diversification, higher farm incomes, higher productivity, inclusivity, nutrition sensitive. Somebody called it HERS, healthy, equitable, resilient, and sustainable agriculture. The agriculture in future, the Chris Barrett of Cornell University. So non-agriculture plays a critical role in sustaining agriculture. In fact, economists argue that you need to shift to especially manufacturing the labor force. It doesn't mean you neglect agriculture. Agriculture has to be productivity and others. Incomes have to be increased. So expanding labor-intensive manufacturing and services can ease pressure. On agriculture and raise overall income, developing rural MSMEs, other non-farm enterprises, that states have a big role to play. Actually, in Indian agriculture, states play an important role because most of the subjects are state subjects, including the market reforms and all. Even some of the rural non-farm also state subject. So pushing for agro-processing and rural industrialization. So a broad convergence is needed to give a further boost to agriculture growth and non-farm employment. It can achieve these three goals. So to conclude, way forward to have agriculture to have links with rural non-farm and urban areas, apart from diversification in agriculture and all. As someone said, the solution for agriculture lies in non-agriculture sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It was music to the economists' ears that you have captured the essence of the growth story of Indian agriculture. And we could see that women have led the FPOs towards the success of the FPOs. And agriculture is going to be more of hers. And we hope that he and hims and his will play a supporting role to hers also. So, with that note, sir, we again thank you, and I request our respected director, sir, to felicitate today's chief guest for his presence and for his wonderful address. I request Dr. Gopal Lal, sir, to do the honors to the chief guest. Thank you, sir. Before I invite Dr. Ranjit Kumar, Organizing Secretary, Principal Scientist, CEO, EID of NAARM for formal vote of thanks, I have one announcement. Those who have given your names for tomorrow's study tour or field visit are kindly requested to be ready by 8:15 a.m. from the halls of residence from where the buses will depart. So with this, and then there is another announcement. There is annual general body meeting of the AERA, which is going to take place in this very hall after the tea break. So those who are there, members, kindly reassemble back in this.
We will continue. Continue, no? यहीं सर्व करा दो ना.
ठीक है.
सेम में यहीं देखो चाहे.
ठीक है.
ज़्यादा टाइम लगेगा.
So with this, I request Dr. Ranjit Kumar, sir, for formal vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mahantesh. It is a great honor for me to share the dais for such distinguished dignitaries. Honorable Professor S. Mahendra Dev, Chairman, Economic Advisory Council to Prime Minister, AERA President Dr. P.K. Joshi, Conference President Dr. S. Mohanty, and our own Director, Director NAARM, Dr. Gopal Lal, Anjani Kumar, AERA Secretary, and all the dignitaries of the dais, my dear friends, NAARM students, NAARM faculty, and all the delegates. It is great honor for me to propose vote of thanks. Everything, every beautiful thing has to close. And so this 33rd annual conference of Agriculture Economics Research Association is also going to close now. And so before that, it is my privilege to offer thanks to all those people who has contributed in organizing this conference. And first of all, I want to thank to God that I have been chosen to organizing this conference. I can say that I was too lucky to have this conference at this moment. And in fact, 2, 3 things I want to share with you, sir. When we were planning this conference, at that time, we were discussing that at least we should get either of these two persons during the inaugural session of the conference. Either Professor Mahendra Dev should be there or Professor Ramesh Chand should be there. And we are so lucky that we got both of them for the conference. So what a better finishing can we be there for the conference, annual conference of Agriculture Economics Research Association. And second thing is that just 3 days before of this conference time, we were having very uncertain weather in Hyderabad. In fact, evening weather was, temperature went so down that we were afraid that whether we will be having that session, yesterday's evening session or not, and how we will be conducting that session. And in fact, 2 days back also there was rainfall in Tamil Nadu and this Sri Lanka flood was there. So we were afraid that whether the kind of food they have enjoyed, we will be having such kind of venue and then other things or not. So I'm really thankful to the God that he has helped me and all the organizing committee to conduct this conference without any trouble. So first of all, I want to thank that chief guest of our inaugural session, Professor Ramesh Chand, and the guest of honor, Dr. Himanshu Pathak, as well as Dr. A.K. Sood from NABARD for being there during inaugural session. And in fact, I want to share with you one interaction with Professor Ramesh Chand when I was discussing with him that, sir, during this conference, we have waived off accommodation charges for all the student delegates of this conference. And then he told one important aspect. So I, as an organizing secretary, I was thinking from cost cutting or cost escalating for organizing the conference. And he told that we have to invest in future generation. And that is the difference between the thinking and thought process of we people and then the people who are guiding the Indian economy and Indian agriculture from the front. And that difference in thinking we want to share with all of you. I also want to thank our AERA President, Dr. P.K. Joshi, who has been there with us for last 6 months when it was announced that, okay, AERA NAARM is going to organize this conference. And so even if he was in the US and we had a meeting at that time, sir was attending the meeting at 2 o'clock in the night from US, Washington, DC. So thank you very much, sir, for providing all kind of guidance for organizing this conference. I thank wholeheartedly to our director now, Dr. Gopal Lal, for all facility, all the support given to this conference. Without that kind of support and guidance, we could have not achieved whatever we have done during these 3 days of conference. So thank you, sir, for being there with us. And obviously, Dr. Anjani Kumar, AERA Secretary, he is with us 24 hours, 24/7 for at least last 2-3 months or so. We had 3 conveners during this conference, and for this conference, Dr. Asmita Sirohi, my teacher, my mentor, guru, Dr. Suresh Kumar from CSSRI Karnal, Dr. Elumule Kanan for Team 1. So I thank all 3 conveners for helping this conference to organize and listening entire presentation during this conference. And sorry, I missed our own conference president, who has been there for last couple of months during this planning and organizing entire conference event, then session, everything. He was there with us, and so thank you very much, sir. And yesterday, on day one, he told that no, it is the first time he is attending in person. So thank you very much for coming to Hyderabad and attending this conference in person, and then guiding this conference for all the activities. During this conference, we had almost 30 co-chairs and 40 rapporteurs. So this is a big applaud to all those co-chairs and rapporteurs for conducting this session. And in fact, we have broken one myth, sir. So last many years, we were listening that when technical sessions happens, mostly either presenter are there or chairs are there sitting during the technical session. And I can proudly say that in all the technical session, we had 14 technical sessions, sir. And in all the session, at least 20 to 25 audience members were there. So that shows the interest of all these young researchers and economists participating in the discussion during the technical session. During this conference, we had 3 collaborators, and they had wonderful special session, symposia, as well as panel discussion. One from IFRI, Dr. Mamta Pradhan, had today's policy dialogues. We had one panel discussion from RIS, Professor Sachin Sharma, DG RIS, and his team conducted that panel discussion, and Dr. Shalender and his team conducted a special session that is from ICAR-NAARM. So I thank all 3 collaborators for collaborating during this conference. We also had panel discussion from industry representatives, and those industry representatives were from Corteva Agroscience, Bayer Crop Science, Chema General Insurance, and Nujubudi Seed Limited. And this panel discussion was moderated by our own former Joint Director, Dr. R. Kalpana Sastry. So we thank all of them for being with us. We also had one workshop on journal article writing, and that session was conducted by Dr. Vidya from IIM Ahmedabad. And that session, I got the feedback that it was a wonderful session, and in fact, every young researchers got benefited from that session. And so we are very grateful to Dr. Vidya also. This conference could not have been successful, and we could have not done whatever we have done during the last 3 days without the delegates. And we got more than 300 delegates from all over the country, and out of those, more than 50% are young researchers. So we are very much grateful to you all for coming over here and participating actively in all the sessions. So thank you very much for participating in this conference. This conference was organized, and in the background, we had 10 committees, and a lot of volunteers were there. And these 10 committees were led by our own senior principal scientists, HODs of this academy, and along with most of the faculties were involved in organizing these committees. And in fact, they have worked day and night. And so I thank wholeheartedly, I bow to all of my faculty and NAARM staff for helping us in organizing this conference. And so thank you very much for being giving all the support for conducting and organizing this conference. We had sponsors for this conference, and we are very much thankful to all those sponsors. And these sponsors are Niti Aayog, NABARD, some startups and industries were there, Bharat Rohan, NutriCircle, National Turmeric Board, Chema General Insurance, Global Academy for Food Safety and Regulation, as well as Mitra Sena. So we are also very much grateful to all these sponsors for helping and supporting this conference. I don't know that whether I missed to thanking our own chief guest, Professor S. Mahendra Dev, because I was so much overwhelmed with his talk, and that it was so much engrossing. So thank you very much, sir. And you have given complete canvas from first AD to 2047, and you have explained all the everything of Indian economy to Indian agriculture, rural non-farm economy. So thank you very much, sir, for being here and gracing this occasion of this valedictory session as well as plenary session. So thank you very much, and thank you everyone for being part of this 33rd Annual Conference of Agriculture Economics Research Association. And I also thank my moderator of entire program, Dr. Mahantes, as well as Dr. Supriya, who was there for our inaugural session. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being part of this. So please be here for annual general meeting, and then after that we will break for a tea break. So thank you.
We will be brief, and we will start with the felicitation of the award.
ब्रेक और विदाउट ब्रेक
Without break.
Without
ब्रेक
break,
करेंगे
sir.
तो फिर जितना मुश्किल हो जाएगा. So, sir, with your permission, I think President AERA will preside over this meeting. It is annual general body meeting. So time is short. With your permission, sir, we can start. And before going to the formal agenda, let us have felicitation of our fellows and also awardees. So first of all, last year, fellows Dr. KJ Satsai and Dr. Sailandar Kumar, both are here. So I would request the president to give this fellowship award to both of them. इधर इधर तो आ रहा ना. हाँ ठीक है. Yes, I guess and doctors. We have another means this year also we have elected the fellows. There were many applications, but based on the recommendations of the jury, we are happy to announce that this year's award means she or he will be fellow from January 2026. So I request Dr. Alka Singh and Dr. C.A. Ramarao. Dr. C.A. Ramarao. Another, we have the Young Agricultural Economist Award. So again, there were many applications, and it was a tough competition, and at least tough competition among 4 or 5 people. But there was absolutely no significant difference between 2 prominent. So the award goes to Dr. Parveen KB from Economics Division IRI and Dr. Neha Qureshi. So this award jointly is given to. So Parveen could not come. So if somebody wants to get a photo on his behalf, so I think this is another. We also give award to the papers published during the year, our regular issues. So this is R.T. Doshi Foundation Award, and it started long back in 2000. So almost 25 years now. So this year's award goes for the best paper written by Raya Desh, Vidisha Chanda, Gauri Krishna, and Ashok Gulati. And the paper was Transforming Agricultural Trading and Commerce in India, Role of INAARM and Potential of Digital Trade. So congratulations. Another second award goes to Murli Kalumal, Simran Khosla, Ankit Kundu, and Akanksha Sinha. If any one of them or all of them or two of them are here, they are welcome. Anyone? No. So if somebody from his university, or we will send. So thank you very much and congratulations to all the awardees. Now, sir, I request you to start the proceedings of the agenda.
उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कराना है क्या? उसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कराना है। हाँ, करो। उसको फिर कैसे बोलेंगे? इसको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करा दो।
So though it looks very discourteous, but non-members, those who are not either annual members or life members of the association, I will request, though it's very embarrassing for me, but I will request them to go out. Okay.
They can leave. Formal conference is over. They can attend. हो जाएंगे।
So those who are going,
they can stay. ठीक है, let us तो ये बोल दीजिए ना कि जो मेंबर नहीं वो साइन नहीं करेंगे, वो बाकी रहे अपना डिस्कशन तो सुन रहे, जो मेंबर नहीं वो साइन नहीं करेंगे, बाकी लोग बैठे तो
okay,
सुन
please, you can sit, just you don't sign.
जैसे अनाउंस करते हैं।
प्लीज बैठिए सब लोग। अरे आप लोग तो मेंबर हैं, आप लोग क्यों जा रहे हैं? हमारे मेंबर ही जा रहे हैं, सब लोग आइए प्लीज। प्लीज बी हियर, जस्ट यू डोंट साइन। हाँ सारे, हाँ जिसका रजिस्ट्रेशन है, दे आर एनुअल मेंबर्स। Those who have got registered either as a non-member or members, so they are annual members. So they are not. There should not be any confusion, please.
तुम तो बंद करा देना।